and welcome back to another episode of the Spacemen From Pluto Podcast. I'm your host for this episode, James, and joining me as usual is...
Ben.
Dan.
And Christian.
And seeing as in our last episode we touched upon Pixar a little bit and found out we actually have quite a bit to say about this company, we thought, why not, just do a whole episode on it and we'll just dive straight in. Nice and simple, to open it up. What's everyone's favourite Pixar film?
James, what's your favourite Pixar film?
My favourite Pixar film? It's just got to be Toy Story 2, hasn't it? Absolute classic. That's one of the first films I can, from my childhood, remember being excited about before it came out. Obviously there are films that, get put on for you that came out before you were born or whatever, and you enjoy them. But this is the first one, having seen the first, I saw the first Toy Story, and then seeing the advert for a sequel, I was super excited about.
That's interesting. Yeah, certainly it's very strong. It's one of those where it's is the sequel better than the original debates? It's one of them. It's kind of like the original Star Wars trilogy where it's like your Toy Story order. No matter what the order is, it's kind of like, yeah, fair enough. You can't if Empire's your favourite, yeah, if Jedi's your favourite. That's it's kind of the same with Toy Story a little bit, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
Speaking of Star Wars, because Toy Story has that Toy Story 2.
Yeah, immediately with that.
It's got to be a new record, I'd say.
50 seconds or so.
The opening to Toy Story 2 is wicked, where it's the full Buzz, the action hero with the hints of Star Wars at the beginning. So there's the bit where he touches the battery, isn't it? And it makes the lightsaber sound. Oh, the corridor. The corridors Cloud City. Yeah, great.
Later in the film they do the full on I am your father.
Call.
They just go full out on it.
Yeah. The whole that Zurg in that is wicked. Destroy Buzz Lightyear. Yeah.
I like I said, 2 is probably my favourite, but I love the opening of the third one, where we see what's in Andy's imagination. Because obviously it just really harkens back to when you are a kid and you're playing with your toys. That is what you see and envision. I just thought it was a really great...
Yeah.
I just love Toy Story. The whole trilogy is incredible. The way that the sequel, the threequel, whatever you want to call it, they didn't just try and introduce a new audience. They made it for the kids that grew up with it.
Yeah.
So, do you consider it, James, a trilogy?
Yes.
Like a lot of people consider Indiana Jones a trilogy because of the substandard fourth film. Same rule applies, according to you, would you say?
I agree 100% that it was both of those great trilogy. Just ignore the fourth one.
Wow. So do you really not like the fourth one?
I really hate the fourth one. I've only watched it once in the cinemas, and I kind of vow to never watch it again.
Why?
It's just the first three, particularly the third one, make a whole thing of Woody's character is that he is always there for his kid. So he's always there for Andy, and then he's always there for Bonnie, whichever his kid, that is his purpose as a toy, and that's always his drive to get back to them. And then in the fourth one, they just went, actually, he's going to sack Bonnie off just so he can go run away with Bo Peep.
Yeah, but you can't blame a guy, can you? At the end of the day, he's just a regular guy thinking with his penis.
Oh man, what a horrible image. Thinking with his Woody.
Yeah. Snake in his boot.
Definitely cut that.
Absolutely do not cut that. There's fun moments and there's nice parts about 4, but it wasn't terribly entertaining. Buzz is reduced to almost the first film where he doesn't really know what's going on, he's stupid again, and then Buzz barely gets any screen time, and then the rest of the gang barely in it.
Yeah,
it's all about Woody off with Bo Peep and a couple new toys introduced, and it's a freaking Spork gets more playtime than Buzz Lightyear. What is going on?
But you kind of they're expanding the world, aren't they? They're giving you new things and new characters. Keanu Reeves is a little Evil Knievel is a good little addition.
Yeah, 2 and 3 did that. 2 and 3 expanded the world, brought in new characters, but didn't sack off the old ones. If anything, it still managed to grow them more.
I've still not seen Toy Story. It's been on Disney Plus, obviously, since Disney Plus came out.
Toy Story
4. Sorry.
Oh,
sorry. Yeah. Rewind. I have seen Toy Story and 2 and 3. I've not seen Toy Story 4, despite it being on Disney Plus. Because for some reason it just it doesn't appeal to me. I just don't feel like it needed to be made. Like, I was always worried when I heard it announced that it was just going to be this kind of afterthought almost thing that was almost going to kind of ruin the purity of those three films, and by the sounds of it, it has done, which is very disappointing.
I didn't think it was necessary, and I don't you can enjoy Toy Story without going to the fourth one. I thought it was a couple of fun moments, and I thought it was inoffensive enough. Like, I didn't think it was one of them where it was like it completely tarnishes everything 3 did. I think it's one of them where it's like you can just kind of watch it and disregard everything that came before it. It's one of them things where the ending comes about and you're like, I'll just choose not to accept that.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same. I think like it's like I remember I've only watched it the once. I thought like, oh, it's fine, and then the big problem that I had it as well was like, would he leave Bonnie like that? And they gave a reasoning for it.
Yeah, but I don't accept
it's just whether you agreed with it. Yeah.
I think for me it was the thing of Toy Story is very much like that is the, I was going to say personification, but it's not a person, but like that is the embodiment of my childhood. Like that is what Toy Story is for me. So I was very invested. And then I got excited for the fourth one because after the third one was so good and it felt like it was aimed at my generation, I was like, oh, four's going to do the same. And then 4 very much felt like it was trying to be aimed at kids now. It wasn't for the original fans. And it just went, all this time that you spent in loving these characters, just fuck off.
Yeah, but James, it's a film called Toy Story 4, right? And the movie's made for children. They're not going to go, we're going to make this for a 25-year-old.
Yeah.
But Toy Story 3 did.
Yeah, but I would argue it did. It's primarily a kids' film made for kids.
It is, but you can tell that they know their audience. Kids can still enjoy it, but I felt like that was aimed at the original audience.
I think Toy Story 2 was obviously, it was better than Toy Story 1, but they were both great films, both more or less, but both mainly aimed at kids, obviously, with the classic characters. Buzz Lightyear was made into like a toy, which then kind of spawned Jingle All the Way. Who could forget?
Jingle All the Way talk. Let's dive in.
I'm back in.
Yeah, it was very much about those characters and stuff, and they definitely appeal to kids. The third film, I think, kind of went more towards what James is saying, where it was obviously for kids, but definitely also for the parents as well. Definitely also for the kids who had grown up watching the first two.
I was going to say the feeling I got between the third and the fourth one is the third one was a closing point for a trilogy, and it was the ending point for the kids that grew up with Toy Story. The feeling I got with Toy Story 4 was this is the Toy Story for a new generation of kids. The adults, the kids who are now adults that grew up with Toy Story probably won't like this movie because it's for the next generation of kids who are going to enjoy Toy Story.
Yeah.
Do you know what's also like really insane? Like obviously, like I know Dan just said that Toy Story 2 is probably better than 1, and yeah, it is. Like it's got cleaner animation, it's got more characters, it's more developed. They really knocked it out of the park on their first go. Like Toy Story is their first film. That is mental how good their first ever one is.
I think as well the animation style they used was pretty new.
I think so, yeah.
For the time as well. I think because they were developing it with those shorts.
As in computer animated stuff, was it?
Yeah,
it was one of the early ones, right?
It was really one of the first times that was proper new.
You forgot about Lawnmower Man.
What is Lawnmower Man?
One of the shorts.
I was talking about it the other day.
Is that one of the shorts?
Lawnmower Man.
No.
Ben,
it sounds like a superhero, so I'm all in.
You don't. Ben, it's surprising that Ben does not know about Ben does know about Lawnmower Man.
You don't know about Lawnmower Man,
We've discussed this film.
And Lawnmower Man 2, Job's War.
I have no idea.
Me and Christine have had a conversation about Lawnmower Man.
The Lawnmower Man from 1992 with Pierce Brosnan.
Yeah.
What the hell is this?
I like a bit of Brosnan.
Oh, yes, right, yes, I know what it is.
It's got a lot of dodgy computer animation in it, some really kind of like ropey stuff.
It was one I was planning to do for an upcoming possible series.
Yeah.
Just tease that there.
I'd love to watch that film. I'd love to watch the second one. Wasn't the second Lawnmower Man film as well? Didn't you say, Christian, that like they filmed 2 of them?
There's 2 second films that are both completely different than each other. It's absolutely mental.
They're both called Lawnmower Man 2.
Yeah, the one's called Lawnmower Man 2 Job's War, and one's called, I can't remember the subtitle for the other one.
Yeah.
But that one of them is like the director's vision and one of them is the studio's vision, and apparently they're both completely different films with entirely different editing and soundtracks and scenes. It's apparently utter madness. I haven't seen either of them, but I've been trying to get hold of both versions.
Do you guys ever? You guys are probably too young for this. Do you remember that kids' TV show called Reboot? Do you ever remember that? No.
Phone out again, so I Google.
Mr. Derek Bennett might remember it being of a similar age to me, but that was like, I think it was before Toy Story. It may have been.
Good lord.
Yeah, Ben's just found it on his phone, apparently. But yeah, it was like I did look forward to that every day because when it was shown, computer animation was dead new, and it was like a proper novelty. It was like really impressive.
Yeah, but it doesn't have to look so freakish with those purple skin and their green skin.
They were.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
And they were in like a mainframe. In fact, I think the villain was called Mainframe. And I don't know what the plot was, but I loved it anyway because it was computer animation.
I have actually seen a couple episodes of this, not as a kid. I saw them like recently.
There was a show as well, like a 3D animated show where it was like a guy made out of cubes. It was like a robot made out of cubes, and he fought crime. Oh no!
Are you talking about Rubik's? Is it Rubik's?
Oh my god, is it? Cubics? Is it Cubics?
Rubik's.
Cubics rings a bell.
I think it's Cubics.
Oh my god, it is!
Yeah.
Oh my god! Yeah, because I had a toy of him.
Yeah, Cubics had great toys. Oh, here's a real outlier there for anyone. Did anyone else here watch But Ugly Martians?
Yeah.
That was a great little show. God, I tell you what, I'd love to rewatch some of that now and just see how choppy the animation is.
Jesus,
it's
that
all
was
so
amazing.
terrible.
Oh, I know this. I know this.
Yeah, there was like a red one, a blue one, and a yellow one.
Yeah.
It was sick. It was
We
all about,
need to do
Dan,
some
I'll
episodes
throw you
on
out
this.
there, Dan.
Yeah.
Basically what it was, there were these 3 Martians that got sent to Earth to conquer it. But they realised, we quite like Earth, this is cool. So they would be like, yeah, we'll just chill here. But every now and then their lead commander would send them messages like, how's the invasion going? And they'd have to try and keep up this facade that they were still trying to invade Earth.
That's funny, yeah.
They of course had their their cool sort of skater female human companion. It was very Ninja Turtles at parts.
I see.
Clear, but they've gone, how do we make it different? There's only 3 of them. We've got very off topic. Does anyone else want to talk about their favourite Pixar film?
Well, I was just going to add on to the Toy Story 2 thing and say, isn't it amazing to think that Toy Story 2 nearly didn't happen because they accidentally deleted the whole film?
Yeah. Mad. So how did they get it back?
It must have been backed up.
It was backed up on one of the random animators' home computer. She saved the entire movie.
Jesus
by
Christ.
Backing it up to her home computer.
How on earth did that happen? How did that happen?
I've almost had breakdowns at uni because I thought I'd lost a scene of a student film. Can you imagine the stress thinking you've lost a full AAA title?
We lost
Years
the
of work.
film. Why was it only available in one location? I don't get it. How is that possible?
It's the 90s.
I was going to say...
It's brilliant.
I was going to say...
He's answered it there. He's done it.
Early into computer animation, there's all these shows that we've just reeled off. There was probably entire episodes of those that got deleted and they were like, well, just move on to the next episode.
The child in me wants to say, oh, so they sat down and went, kids love toys. They love the idea that maybe these toys that they're playing with are alive. Let's make a film about that. The cynic in me goes, right, we need to sell toys. Film about toys, just nice and easy, innit?
It's the perfect. It's the perfect crossing point of two revenue streams.
Because then the toys, it's not even like you have to worry about how do we translate this character into the toy. You just make the character as it is, and then that kid loves it even more.
Toy Story, the story itself, is just a rip-off of an earlier Disney film.
Which
that's
is
lesser known. The Brave Little Toaster.
There was also a television series made by Jim Henson that predates Toy Story. It was from the Tim Henson workshop.
Jim.
Is it Yeah, sorry.
The Tim Henson workshop.
Tim Henson. I'm a film buff. You know what can I say? Jim Henson. Tim Henson is actually a guitarist in a band called Polyphia. He's a very, very good guitar player. Check it out.
He is a very good guitar
He
player.
looks about 12 years old, but he's inexplicably extremely good at guitar. Anyway, Jim Henson is a different person. There was a thing that he did called The Secret Life of Toys. Do you ever remember The Secret Life of Toys? It was like, I'm pretty sure it was live action.
I know of it.
It was literally about toys in a toy shop that came to life when the shop was empty, I think. But it was definitely about they pretended to be inanimate objects, and then it turned out they were alive.
Oh yeah, I don't think that Toy Story. I don't think that anyone was under any illusion that Toy Story was an original idea. It was just the best, and still is the best execution of that idea.
What I love, I saw it in the recent years in the Disney shop. I know if I was a kid, I would have lost I would have lost my shit over this. I like that they're now they're putting the Toy Story figures in the box they would be in the movie.
Yeah.
So the Buzz Lightyear toys in that spaceship box, and they've done one for Woody. And if you buy Stinky Pete, he's in that box from the film. And there's a Zurg one, and I remember going to Disney shop being like, that is genius.
Yeah, that's good.
So good. You get the box Stinky Pete came in.
I remember as a kid, I think I had what would be like a life-size Woody and Buzz, and they were like surgically attached to either hand. Like I went everywhere with them.
Yeah. We all had a big Woody and Buzz, right? I had with the Woody and the Buzz. Did you, Dan, when you were 15, however old you were?
I probably was around that age. No, I didn't. No. I was working class. I couldn't afford that kind of stuff. So.
I thought you said you were working. Like
I was down the mine.
Down mine. I was working way. There's a really weird. Like I always enjoyed it when they would show fake bloopers during the credits of those films. There's a really weird, I think it's been deleted now off Disney Plus, of Stinky Pete doing like a casting couch for two girls, two of the Barbies.
It's the kind of stuff that goes over your head as a kid, and like I remember it, and I remember as a kid just thinking it's he's trying to date these girls, ha ha ha. I didn't get the very implicit sort of what it's saying basically.
I don't. It's not my favourite, but I got a vibe in recent weeks that it's either overlooked or not talked about. A Bug's Life is mint, right? That's a good film, isn't it?
Bug's Life is great.
Yeah, Bug's Life's mint. I could have sworn I overheard other people saying the other day that it wasn't good or it's like forgotten about, and I was like, Bug's Life is.
I do think it's forgotten about. Like compared to I don't mean it's forgotten about by the kids that grew up with it. I still think that every kid remembers A Bug's Life, and Disney still, promote A Bug's Life to a certain extent. They still have the ride in their parks. That shows you something. Most of the time, they'll flatten a ride when they think it becomes irrelevant.
I'm surprised
that one's still there.
Going.
That one's still there.
Bug's Life 2? What are the prospects of A Bug's Life 2? Is the brand
I was going to say, you could easily do a Disney Plus show on the circus troupe. Have them just going around meeting other bugs as a little Disney Plus show. I don't know.
I also wonder where the part of it is. Bug's Life's quite scary at times, like for kids. Like the whole scene when the bird's trying to get them, where it's like that cracked rock, and then at the end when the bird's on fire, like the grasshoppers are terrifying.
Yeah. Cool though. Is Bug's Life the one? I'm just going to sworn it's like my favourite bit of the film actually, where it's the two like flies going towards the bug zapper. It's I can't help it, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
He just dies. There's a bit where there's like a fly on the street holding a sign saying like arms and legs got ripped off, please like help or any change. He's just lying there with no arms.
There's loads of great jokes in this. Like there's a bit where a slug gets served some food, he goes, oh thanks, starts eating it, his mouth all starts frothing, he's like, I said no salt, no salt.
Yes, that's right.
It's a genuinely really good film.
It's so good.
We mentioned off camera talking about like best food in movies. It was like a drop of water or something they would eat at the bar.
Yeah.
Oh, it looks so good. I remember. Yeah, because I think like the ladybug. It's a ladybug. It's voiced by a proper bug. It's a guy, isn't it? But he looks like a girl ladybug. Yeah, he has the water at the bar. Oh man.
So why did it not get a sequel? I suppose maybe is it just like it's bugs? It's not as like family friendly and it's not as cute and fluffy.
This was at the time when, other than Toy Story 2, they did have like this policy of just no sequels. That's why Incredibles had no sequel, and Finding Nemo had no sequel. Then it was like the changeover where it's like Disney bought them or something. That's when they all got the sequels and stuff. So
I'm looking down the list of Pixar films now, and I actually see the drop off in quality, I think, comes after Toy Story 3, because it's pretty much Toy Story 3 was the 11th Pixar film. It's Toy Story, A Bug's Life, Toy Story 2, Monsters Inc., Finding Nemo, The Incredibles, Cars, which I've not actually seen.
It is good. It's good.
The first Cars is good.
As a kid, it was because I liked Cars, so I watched Cars quite a bit.
Yeah.
Then Ratatouille, Wall-E, Up, and Toy Story 3. So it's basically just hit after hit after hit after hit, basically.
Did you just Ratatouille?
I just don't rate Ratatouille.
Ratatouille is great.
I think for me,
is possibly the best Pixar film.
That's a bold claim, Cotton. I think for me, Ratatouille is a bit like the issue that some people have with Rick and Morty. I think it's good. I think it's fine. But all the fans that go, it's the best thing ever, and all that, and just like say, oh yeah, he's like, he could beat anyone in a fight. I'm like, I'm a bit done with all this now.
There's fans going, Ratatouille is the best thing ever.
I will fight anyone to the death on this argument. It's come up so many times where people think that Remy the bloody rat would beat Stuart Little in a fight, and I'm just not having it.
He's a street rat.
No, he would. He's not a street rat. He's a bloody chef.
He starts off as a street rat.
But he's always the bitch of the rats.
Yeah, but Stuart Little's a little posh boy hanging out.
No, right. He is resourceful. He fought off a whole army of cats in the first film, and then in the second film, he built a plane out of goddamn garbage and then used it to fight a peregrine falcon.
But that's not gonna help him in a street fight versus a rat.
It would, because he's
resourceful. A one-on-one. It's a one-on-one in a street though. Okay. Let's play.
Remy's not been in a single fight.
But that's not the argument. We'll come back to Stuart Little. That's not the argument we were all confused about, James. What part of the internet are you on where people are saying Ratatouille's the best thing since sliced bread?
I think it is a bit of a meme film, cheese. But loads of people do rave about this film. I think maybe it is a bit of like, it's a meme to say how good it is, but I'm just a bit done with Ratatouille.
I know. I like Ratatouille exists because it gave us that meme of Gordon Ramsay over the rat going like, "Where's the lamb sauce?" He's like, it's him walking around. James, are you a fan of the other rat film, Flushed Away?
Like, I remember enjoying that at the time, but I can't imagine it's held up very well.
We had a big poster of that in the cinema, didn't we? Do you remember that?
We did.
Where did it go?
It went just outside the staff room. What?
That was the cue for you to say it got flushed away.
It was funny.
If I'm going to tee these up for you, you better be knocking them out the park.
Let's just do that again. I'll give Ben a clean vocal.
Oh, say, Dan, what happened to that poster?
It was outside the staff room.
Dan, is your favourite Pixar film
Ratatouille? Okay, I don't know. It's close, I would say. I really liked Toy Story 3 over the other Toy Stories. It's definitely up there. The end of Toy Story 3, wonderful stuff. The film as a whole, incredible, really, really nice. The scene when they're all getting kind of incinerated and they all hold hands. Definitely almost cried at the cinema. I don't care. I don't mind admitting. I was very much kind of, this is intense for just a film, let alone a kids' film. Ratatouille, I really did enjoy, and I think it's got a lot of subtle kind of humour in there that I think on one viewing you don't really get. Like, the writing's really, really nice in it. I'd say, all things considered, though, my favourite Pixar film, it's got to be Up. It has to be Up.
The first 10 minutes
of the room.
Huge. No.
No. I agree with you. Up would probably be one of my up there as one of my favourites as well.
See, I think Up came out for me at the worst time possible because it was just in that period of my life where I was like, oh, I don't like kids' films anymore, but I wasn't old enough to sort of get over that and appreciate them. So like, I saw it in the cinema and I wasn't a huge fan. I'd like to revisit it and watch it properly because it didn't grab me at the time.
I think it's one of those where when I watched it, I was at a certain point in my life where, I don't know, the first kind of 10 minutes, obviously everyone remembers, it really kind of got to me, and it really sort of like, I just thought, what am I watching here? This is horrific. It's horrible because it's just said so much about life and, you know, love and all that fucking bollocks. But,
yeah, is there anything after the first 10 minutes you can remember?
Yes, there is. I love the old guy. I can't remember his name
Mr.
now.
Fredrickson.
Is it Mr. Fredrickson?
Carl Fredrickson.
I suppose his name's not really important, but I just really like the symbology of the whole ridiculous imagery of, you know, he's got this little humble home in the middle of a massive like metropolis, and he straps a load of balloons to it and just escapes. And it's like there's this one bit where like all the light from the balloons is lighting up like these. I think there's like a kid watching the house, like all the lights like lighting up her face, and it's like proper like Pixar do that better than anyone. Just put things onto the screen that kind of just say so much, like a picture says 1,000 words type thing. It's like just a combination of like the colour and the animation and just the theme and just the, you know, you can say so much with an image that you couldn't say with, you know, a massive script basically.
It's like the epitome of every frame of painting kind of thing.
Yeah, totally.
I reckon Up should maybe not have been a film and they should have just done the first bit as a Pixar short.
No, I disagree.
I almost wonder whether they made that as a short and then and the studio went, no, we can get more out of this. This is really good. What happens afterwards?
But imagine if it was a short though. Like, how depressing would that be? Oh, this guy falls in love with a woman and then she dies.
But you know, we can't go this far along and not talk about. Dan said the word earlier, The Incredibles.
Oh, it's so good.
It's dare I say, it's amazing.
Fantastic. Well, speaking of fantastic, they have made the best Fantastic Four film without even using the Fantastic Four.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, until Marvel take a crack at it, it still could be the best Fantastic Four film.
Like that whole sequence in the jungle is maybe one of my favourite film scenes in anything.
So good.
No. It's not even the best sequence in the film.
What would you say is the best sequence in the film?
There's a bit where...
Oh, I already know what he's going to say.
There's a bit where, at the start, where he's fighting, where he fights Bon Voyage.
Great name.
And he goes, Bon Voyage. And he goes, and Incrediboy. And then Bon Voyage goes, Incrediboy? And it's just... I just think it's really funny. Like, he's very confused.
It's such a great film and quite a disappointing sequel.
Didn't see the sequel. I have the same feelings towards the sequel as I do with Toy Story 4. It's just kind of like I said, like after Toy Story 3, it feels like there was a weird change in philosophy with Pixar, where it's like, you know, all that kind of thing we used to say where we don't make sequels because we don't have a good story in place and all that. We're going to forget about that now. Here's Incredibles 2, here's Finding Dory, here's Cars 3. You know.
I think what I gather... I don't
Monsters
know.
University.
I think people really responded to Coco, but I haven't watched it, so I can't comment.
Coco's really solid. Some of their recent ones have been really good though. Coco's like, you know, good. Inside Out's really good.
Inside Out's solid, man.
Yeah, Inside Out is a good film. It is a good film. It's an interesting kind of idea. That's the key. They had an interesting idea, and it's not just a sequel. Basically, it's a new thing.
Mentioning the sequels, my favourite is not a sequel. I think my favourite is probably Monsters Inc.
Yeah,
I really like Monsters Inc.
Yeah.
For audio listeners, Christian's virtual background this week is Monsters Inc.
It's the scare floor.
It is the scare
Apparently,
floor.
Isn't it?
It's the scare floor.
It is the scare floor.
That's another just like Pixar, I feel, has loads of really great just little scenes that you can just pick out and just really get into. So like the scene where it's like the montage of all the different monsters going in and scaring their kids, really good.
Yeah, it's just such a well put together film, and the characters are great, and it's one of those where I remember sort of watching it as a kid, and you know, Toy Story gets emotional, Toy Story 2 is very emotional, and I was like, Monsters Inc. is, you know, it's a funny film about monsters. It's not going to get emotional. It's so emotional at points.
It's just got like that musical openings. Such a highlight of the film. It's just the music and all the doors. It's great.
Got great music.
Yeah, so those early films, especially, are still to this day are. Maybe it's because we grew up with them, but they are memed and quoted. Like, I don't want to use my head. Like, you know, like Wazowski didn't file your paperwork and things like that.
It's so. There's so much that Pixar have done. That's. It's like they're funny, they're emotional. They just hit all the right notes of a kids' film, to the point where they do something that every good kids' film should aspire to do, which is make them enjoyable for the adults that are watching with them.
Yeah, they make films that are more kind of have more humanity and emotion in them, and then a lot of live action things, which is crazy, really, considering it's animation. But it's like the power of like good writing and good characters and good storytelling. Like Pixar storytelling is always, well, maybe not lately, but especially in their golden era, it was like a textbook kind of example of good storytelling, plot beats, dramatic tension, you know, the basic stuff that makes a good film and a good story. Pixar always stuck it in there.
I don't think they're making bad films now. Like the prime example for me is like Incredibles 2. It's not a bad film. I think it just went in with the expectation of the first one being so good, and then it's been so long since they made it. It's all been built up. I think they're just not as good as the originals, but they're still good films.
Maybe it's also this aspect of like we're all older now and we're watching it through different eyes and everything.
Yeah, so back in my day, movies were better.
It's not got that nostalgia value. Maybe kids in the future will love these films as much as we loved the older ones. But also like there's the general idea of like stuff doesn't feel special anymore because there's just so much of it. So it's kind of like when a Pixar film, when a Toy Story 4 comes along, it's just another film, and it's hyped for maybe a week, and it's the talk of the town for like a week, and then it's kind of gone, and then something else is
it's kind of the same
just
with
as good is released.
That's the issue that Pixar are having, is that it does feel like they are sort of like trying to get a lot of films out, and it's probably because they're a bigger studio now and they're given a lot more money. The other reason I think that Pixar try and do a lot of films is they now have literal internal competition from Disney themselves.
Sure,
because Disney have the animation studio that is literally trying to they're not trying to emulate Pixar, because the Disney animation films, despite looking similar, don't feel anything like a Pixar movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they are.
They feel like a Disney film.
Kind of distinct for me, and I could be wrong in this, but for me, I think the difference is it's like Pixar isn't musicals, Disney is.
Yeah, that's good. That is a good way to think of it. Yeah.
The thing is, Pixar films tend to have a lot of like sort of underlying social messages, and you know, like they're very sort of deep films when you look at them.
Yeah.
You can't compare the sort of interesting, unique stuff that they do with stuff like Inside Out to like Tangled and Big Hero 6.
Disney has emotion, but then it sings about it.
Yeah.
Frozen was probably what the film that really put Disney animation on the map, because it was such a massive film.
Frozen put Disney on the map?
Oh, Disney animation as opposed to Pixar. Yeah, Frozen put Disney on the map. Yeah,
sure.
No one's really heard of them. They're a bit of an indie company.
Mickey Mouse, he's that prick.
3D animations from Disney. 3D animations from Disney, not Pixar. We have Dinosaur, Chicken Little, Meet the Robinsons.
Wait, what? Stop. Don't read them all out.
They read them all.
Chicken Little's Aardman.
No, you're thinking of Chicken Run.
Chicken Run.
Oh, Chicken Little.
We're on about Chicken Little. with Zach Braff.
Tangled, Wreck-It Ralph, that sort of stuff. That's all them.
God, Dinosaur was terrifying.
Talking about dinosaur, do you guys remember Dinosaurs? That live action kind of
Like
animatronic
sort of
kind of thing.
Flintstones, but people.
Yeah.
But dinosaurs.
Flintstones, but people.
That's a twist. They're people this time.
I think it's a bit like Roseanne as well. You know that sitcom Roseanne.
I never watched it. I saw bits of it.
Yeah. Well, that ended when they all got made extinct.
I was just isn't like the final episode them preparing for the meteor?
Yes.
Yeah.
Never lands and kills them all.
I think
and
it's
the
all.
series ends.
I think the
They
entire.
couldn't do much afterwards, could they?
I think the entire series is on Disney Plus now.
It is.
Is it?
'Cause I think it's not actually got that many episodes. I was tempted to just go through and watch it at some
Might
point.
have a look at that.
It says here it's 4 seasons.
Yeah, but
four
I think
seasons.
it's like I think there's less than 20, like sort of 30-minute episodes in them.
What's a Pixar film that other people hate? Christian.
We don't have to bring this up.
I think we do.
This is the podcast to bring it up, Christian.
If not now, when?
Okay, I am more than. I more than slightly dislike Wall-E.
I just don't get it. Like, I don't love Wall-E, but it's just so inoffensive. It's a nice little robot. It's like, cool, yeah, whatever. Man.
I just remember seeing the trailer, and it looked like a very sort of interesting silent romance film, and I was like, and with some messages about sort of global warming and waste and stuff, and it has that for the first sort of half an hour.
Yeah.
And then they get into space, and it just becomes a kid's version of 2001: A Space Odyssey.
But like, Christian, did you really expect Disney to release a feature-length kids film without dialogue?
Yes.
Like, come on, man.
They could have. They could
Lots
have
of
had.
young kids shows don't have dialogue.
Yeah, they could have had minimal dialogue at least.
Yeah, minimal at least.
I think that's
It's just-
ambitious.
Well, that's
exactly.
yeah,
That's what Pixar
exactly,
do.
yeah.
They push boundaries.
No. I mean, it's ambitious of you to think that they would actually do that.
No, I just think that Wall-E is like a very safe Pixar film. It's very boring and very unoriginal.
I don't think Christian's out of the realm, crazy to think that. The first 30 minutes, I think, are silent. Like, there is no dialogue.
No.
It's just Wall-E.
There isn't much
Yeah, but
dialogue in
Eve
the film.
talks.
Yeah,
Basically, but she does.
They only
stuff.
say
Yeah.
their names.
I'll be honest though, I didn't really see the hype with Wall-E. Well, however you pronounce it. Wall-E? How do you pronounce it? Wall-E.
Yeah.
I watched it and I enjoyed it, but I was like, it wasn't one of those where I thought I need to watch that again, or that's really resonated with me. Just it was fine. It was fine.
That's why I think it's fine. I don't think it does enough to be as like Christian hates this film with such a passion. I'm like, there's not enough in this film to get that passionate about.
Like Ratatouille, Up, and Wall-E. I don't really remember. I think I've probably watched them all once at the time, and then that was it. I don't remember much about any of them because I grew up.
Because you grew up and now you watch the Bad Batch, don't you?
There was a bit earlier. That's reminded me actually. There was a bit earlier when James said I was in my I don't watch any kids films phase.
Yeah.
Were you watching Marvel movies at that point?
No.
Oh shit. Fair enough then.
I was late to the first Marvel film I saw in cinemas was The Avengers.
Little did you know the impact that those films would have on you, James.
I know.
What would James's favourite film of that era have been? What would he have gone to the cinema to see?
I really can't remember.
Transformers.
Fast
2.
and Furious, Tokyo Drift.
Oh, I hate Tokyo Drift.
Shut up.
It's the worst.
I think I'm in the minority. I like Tokyo Drift.
It's maybe the second worst one.
Mate, it's sick.
It's thing is, I don't even care what the film is like. I just hate the main guy so much.
I love
can't
it.
Get past
He's
it.
got the most southern accent.
That's what I mean. I
ever.
hate it.
It's It's like, I don't know why it brings me such joy that they're bringing them into now the fold. Like, that guy is in Fast 9. He popped up in 7. I was like, yes, they're bringing them all in. Great.
I really,
stuff.
at some point, just want to watch all those films, just analyse what is going on, like what is happening.
Yeah.
I
None
have
of it makes sense.
I have never seen any of the Fast and Furious films.
They're great.
And I do have a
That
plan.
really surprises me.
I do have a plan to just sit down before the 9th one comes out
Yeah, but you can't,
and just
Christian.
watch them all.
You're part of a channel now where you can't do that anymore.
I'm just going to do it anyway.
No.
I don't care what you say.
You can't do that.
I've saved so many films for this channel.
Oh, but I can't watch Fast 9 and not watch the others.
You can.
No, if anything, that's even better.
Let Christian have his 25-hour film session.
We literally told.
No,
James has done it with Saw, where he's not watching all of Saw, and he's going to go in Spiral.
But this is
not
Spiral.
Knowing.
It's not going to
It's
relate to the other films.
It's the same argument, bro.
No, it's not.
You need
is.
to. You need to commit like James did.
I'll throw it out there, Christian. I'll fill you in. They're not related, but they call each other family. You're caught up into all that you need to know going into the 9th one.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Like they're pretty self-contained. Like they do follow on.
There's only one bit. There's only one thing involving Han. That is the only thing he might need telling about. But
What,
the
that he's
film will
dead?
tell him anyway. Well, apparently not, because he's back now, which is amazing.
Yeah, I was going to say I know bits and pieces of the Fast and Furious anyway. I'll probably go into the 9th one, just not watching the rest, and then watch them after the fact.
Because that'll be even better, because they don't make sense when you've seen them all. So I can't wait to see what you think, having not seen them.
Because we have to do the first one for Time Saw Trash, and we should do Triple X as well.
Yeah, I've never seen Triple X either.
That would be great.
Because I think that's actually probably even better than being like fresh for the 9th one. Because at the moment, if you just went in fresh, you'd be like, okay, it's a mad stunt film. But if you see where it started and then where it's finished, that's mental. I can't do a series that's got more off the rails.
Well, Ben stuck on the trailer for Triple X the other night, and and it occurred to us both think that it's basically Triple X is basically a precursor to Fast and Furious's kind of new sort of guise as a ridiculous action film, because obviously it used to be about street racing. Vin Diesel was in that, and then he made Triple X, which was a really daft, over-the-top action film with loads of stupid stunts and him like jumping out of a plane and saying like, "I live for this shit." And, and then they just combined the two films and made Fast and Furious as it is now.
Should we just do a Vin Diesel month at one point? We'll do the first Fast and Furious.
Don't say the
We'll do Triple X. No,
Yeah,
I wasn't going to say the pacifier.
We're doing the pacifier. We each get to choose a film, and the pacifier's mine.
I was going to say the first Fast and Furious, Triple X, Pitch Black.
Yeah.
And The Last Witch Hunter. Obviously.
No,
Chronicles of Riddick.
Heard of Pitch Black. No, what we'll do is we'll save it till January, and we'll call it Vinuary. It's sound. Don't worry, I've already got it planned, boys.
I can already see the views. It's at least 70. Oh dear. Anyway, should we get back on topic?
We probably should.
Finding Nemo's alright. That's an alright film, innit? That's alright. Took side openings.
Yeah. My mum always reminds me of this every now and then, that like, even as a child, I was quite sceptical, because apparently we came out of Finding Nemo, and they were saying like, oh, did you like it, blah, 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 and I went, yeah, but the problem is, they called it Finding Nemo, so I knew they were going to find him. They should have just called it Looking for Nemo.
I mean, not a bad point, James.
Very
not a bad point. They've kind of put a huge spoiler in the title.
Ruined it for me.
Absolutely ruined it. I can't believe they found him.
Although finding implies searching, but it does not imply found.
Yeah.
If you try to you are finding Nemo,
Yeah, you
maybe
don't
like
necessarily
I'm finding Nemo, but I can't find him. He's gone.
Because if until you found him, you weren't finding him. You were looking for him.
Well, the working title was Searching Nemo, but they didn't think that worked.
It's like when people moaned about spoilers for the film Lone Survivor, that Mark Wahlberg was the lone survivor. It's like, well, it's called Lone Survivor. So,
is the Lone Ranger not about a duo?
Yeah.
That's false advertising.
It's famously about a duo.
Yeah, but he's the Lone Ranger. Like, Tonto's not a ranger.
Not very alone though, is he?
it's weird that, because yes, they are fast, but they're not very furious in these movies.
They seem quite well organised.
They're quite well managed.
Collected,
Actually, it's
competent, you might say.
It's a bit annoying, that, actually. It's like Saving Private Ryan is a spoiler, because it's implying that they will save him.
Yeah.
No, because the act of finding and saving does not automatically imply you succeed.
Yes, it does.
I lean more to Dan's side.
It's
Trying to save him doesn't quite.
Talking
spoilers.
You can't call the film Trying to Save Private Ryan, because that sounds awful.
Talking of spoilers, those bloody Star Wars movies, those titles are riddled with spoilers. Revenge of the Sith, The Return of the Jedi, The Attack of the Clones, The Empire Strikes Back.
We always knew the Star Wars story though before all that, because it was just ingrained in myth, wasn't it? The moment Vader turns to the dark side, we always knew it existed. We always knew that moment was part of that saga.
Speaking of Star Wars films, until the prequels and the sequels came about, wasn't really a need to call it Star Wars. There was only one war.
Yeah, but I think it implies because that first film, because it's a lived-in world, isn't it? It's like it's been on for decades, so it implies that it is ongoing wars, doesn't it? So that's
Because it's still one war.
Yeah, it's the Galactic Civil War.
You don't call it World Wars 2, do you? Because it was just one war.
What should it have been called?
Star War. Just the one war.
If they wanted the plural, it should have been called Star Battles. They have multiple
there
of
you go.
those.
Battlestar Galactica, which me and Ben started earlier this week.
Yeah. Your first time. It's my second time properly watching it through.
I find it insane how many different shows you guys have running at the same time. I don't know how you keep up with it all.
3.
That's a quite that's more than one. How do you keep up with it? How do you remember what's going on with it when you're dipping it in and out? Well, I suppose Sonny's not a big plot heavy one.
I find that question really hard to answer because it's memory. I just remember.
No, I get that. I don't know. I'm a very all in. Unless it's different shows coming out weekly. If I've got a show that I'm binging, it is one show.
But you're watching The Bad Batch, but you're also watching The Walking Dead, and you're able to know and retain the information of those shows.
Yeah, because like I said, if it's weekly, it's just one at a time. It spreads it out. But if I was watching 3 episodes of Bad Batch on Tuesday, then 4 episodes of The Walking Dead on Wednesday, I don't know.
We're not
I just
really
having
doing.
one
We just
show at once.
At this rate, we're doing one every other day.
Yeah, it's you just remember what happened in the last episode.
Yeah, I don't know how to.
That's
just remember it.
Yeah, I don't know. I like having one show at a time.
Maybe it's just kind of I can understand that though, James.
My flatmate Jack was the exact same. He only watched one show.
Yeah, maybe it's just different ways of watching things. I don't ever have more than one book on the go. For James, the same reason James doesn't have more than one TV series. I think I kind of get it because it's just a different kind of vibe to having one thing on the go, isn't it? I do understand that. I think, but TV is more sort of bite sized, and you can just kind of dip in and out, whereas a book is longer usually.
I think because a book's a lot more mental as well. You're picturing it as you go, and it's in your head. So if you're trying to then picture 2 different books in the same sort of week, it can get a bit muddled.
Yeah. I'm still reading The Dark Tower. I don't think I'll ever finish it.
Is it a long one?
Oh my god! It's well, there's 8. I think there's 8 books. I'm up to the 3rd.
Oh, okay, so it's not one book.
Each book is I'm listening to the audiobook versions, which are fantastic, by the way. I don't know how much of a crossover between audiobook and people who watch TV and films there are, but the guy narrating it is acting, properly acting all the way through.
I think there's 2 guys that do Stephen King books. I think one does his fantasy and mystery, and the other does his horror, and they both put 110%.
Yeah. Oh my god,
doing
this
his
guy.
audiobooks.
It's so good. Actually, interestingly, Christian, the Dark Tower books are shared between narrators, which is a little bit...
Are they?
It might be a little bit jarring, because the first book was read by one guy, I forget his name, annoyingly, and then the next 3 are read by another guy, and then every other book after that is read by the first guy. So it's kind of I don't know if it'll be super jarring or whatever, because this one guy's characterizations are so good.
Does he do voices?
Yeah.
Because I think he's the same narrator that I heard do It. Because when I listened to It,
oh, I don't think it is It. No. Well, it might. If you do, if you know of a copy of It that this guy narrates, I'd be up for listening
to. Copy of what?
We're still doing that. Okay, cool.
How long are they though, Dan? How long are the audiobooks? James was asking.
Oh, sorry, James.
Did I?
The first.
Yeah, you asked how long they were.
The first one was 11 hours long.
Oh shit.
The second one was, I think it was like 18, and the third one is like, I can check for you now actually if you're that interested, because I'm interested.
For audio listeners and video listeners might not have noticed, when Dan unlocked his phone, he'd got a chessboard open.
I was literally about to say it. Yeah, I was literally about to say chess.
It could have been worse, couldn't it? You know.
But speaking of like acting in audiobooks, what I always think was a great shout was when they did a few of the Doctor Who books, they got David Tennant to read a few of them, so you actually get the Doctor reading his own lines, which was it really
cool.
helped for them.
I recently read the book, well, the first part of the Book of Dust, which is part of the His Dark Materials universe. It's his newer books that he only wrote in the last couple of years, Philip Pullman, and Michael Sheen narrates those. And by God, does he put in 100%? It's actually a bit much sometimes. He's going all out, proper hamming it up, as you know, Michael Sheen is known for. But it's entertaining. But good lord, I just don't know how he did it. But I
think because there's this air of you become like the voice.
Oh yeah,
it can be.
It's acting.
Yeah, and you must get paid well. And if you do a good job, like Stephen Fry did all the Harry Potter books, didn't he?
Yeah,
like
really good.
You can become if you do a good job, you could be the voice for some people and for a series.
It's narration, it's voiceover, but when you're doing the actual dialogue, you are voice acting. Of course you are. Like you've got to act.
Yeah.
Pixar's good though, isn't it?
The first one was 7 hours. The second one was 12 hours, and the third one was or is. Do I actually say?
This is audible.
18 hours. But honestly, what an outstanding story! It's so good. They really just need to make a television show of the Dark Tower and do it properly, because it's just like...
Yeah, they made a film. It was great.
Don't talk about that. I've not seen the film.
We should watch the film. We should.
Once it's done, but honestly, the rate I'm reading these books, it's going to take probably most of this year, if not longer, to actually get through them. But like... I think I mentioned on a previous podcast, I don't know what they've made, I don't know what they've done. Like they've made a film called The Dark Tower, and it's 2 hours long, and it's like I have no idea how they've managed to condense like the story that I'm only up to the third book, and so much.
But it must be the first book they've done.
I was gonna say it can't be all.
No,
apparently
they've done multiple books.
Yeah, but it might be like a series of unfortunate events where it's like the first 3 or the first however many.
Let's not get into my opinion on doing multiple books in one film.
I mean, I just don't think the medium of film is suited to some stories, and I just don't think the Dark Tower books are suited to a film. They're suited to a television series that is lovingly created by HBO or Netflix or someone who can just pour money into it.
I was gonna say I don't think Netflix has lovingly created anything.
That's a good point. Yeah. But Netflix has some. Netflix can sometimes it has its moment.
It makes some good stuff, but
HBO. You want HBO?
Yeah, it's not on the same sort of scale. I feel like it's not.
HBO.
There's not as much care taken with Netflix stuff. Really, it tends to be a little bit pumped
depending
out.
on the show. There's this like. It's just tainted. It's cheap. Netflix feels cheap to me now.
Yeah, there's a few. There's. I don't know.
No, there is some good stuff in Netflix originals.
You know, occasionally you'll get like...
There is some.
You know, sometimes you'll get like rubbish. Sometimes you'll get like a Queen's Gambit.
I was going to say, the problem that I have with Netflix is that they just kind of... they're kind of trying to saturate the market. People like The Witcher. People played the games. Let's do one season. Literally 2 episodes of season 1 had come out, and they were like, right, we've renewed it for another 7 seasons. The first season of The Witcher, from what I know of the books, I haven't read them, I plan to do so, is the first season of The Witcher isn't even the first book. It's like a collection of short stories, and where the first season ends is the beginning of the first book. I might be wrong.
That's what Preacher does. Preacher, the first season, that ends, at the beginning of the books.
Well, in the video game, the Witcher video games, Dandelion is the narrator, right? And he already knows the Witcher. Like,
Yeah.
is it that? what James?
It's Dandelion.
No, I just thought of a really dumb joke of like that would be your name if you were a lion. Dandelion.
Oh, I mean,
like
that
I wasn't
is-
even going to say it. I didn't want to say it. It was just for me. It made me chuckle in my own head. The internet didn't need to hear that one, but you've made me say it now, Dan, and I hope you're happy about it.
Ben's impressed, clearly.
Shocking, James. There was no
Yeah.
need to say that, James.
There
Why'd you have
wasn't.
to blurt that out?
Because Dan made
You know,
me say it, right?
There was
He
no
forced my hand.
no one prompted you to say that, James. You just had to say it, didn't you? It was just that's.
Guys,
Crazy,
I'll
that.
let you in on a little secret. For every like one joke that I actually tell that's awful, I've thought of about 4. You'd be
the
surprised how
comedy
much I
brain.
actually restrain myself on these podcasts.
Just constantly just repressing jokes. Like, "No, it's not good enough. Dandelion, it sounds like dandy. Shit, I won't say it. Can I just say, the lighting in my room's nice today, isn't it?
Yeah,
Look
it's
at
actually
that.
bit
Turn the
dark.
light on for once. It looks great.
Even
God,
then,
you've
even
got-
still, it's a bit dark.
No, it's not though. It's not too dark.
Feel like
So
see
my,
it.
my,
If
my
you look
light
at the
is-
rest of
my
us-
face is so well. Yeah, but I don't sit there with a big light on like a freak. I have the ambient light.
Yeah, but we do it because we're on a show.
Yeah, it's so that people.
And
No,
we-
but
it's to
people
be
don't
lit.
want big light. They want the ambient light. They want the red
All right.
and the blue
Basically,
contrast.
what happened was.
Let's get.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, that's perfect.
My light switch is too far away. I'm not
Stealing
doing
my
that.
thunder.
Just find
Basically, what
a
happened
dark
was
background, Christian. Get a mood background going.
Dan became the curator of the audio podcast and thought, I don't give a shit what this looks like anymore.
Dan's got streamer lighting.
Yeah.
That's a
That's
good.
what it is.
That is a good.
You very rarely see
Description.
streamers sitting in the light. They're always sat in like the soundproof foam black rooms with like one little light on their face and a bunch of colourful LEDs lighting up the rest of the room.
I'm a bit worried that you might do this, James, in your lounge. If you're sat watching something late at night.
Big light on.
Oh my god.
I don't understand this fascination with everyone sitting in the dark when they watch stuff.
Not in
I
the
hate
dark,
it. I hate
just
it. It's
with a
so
lamp, just
depressing.
a lamp, not in
we
the
don't
dark.
have a lamp in the lounge. My housemates are obsessed with sitting in pitch black with only the TV on, and I hate it. It's
Get a
so
lamp.
depressing.
That.
Oh yeah,
Well,
no,
no,
just
'cause I
get a
stole
big-
the lamp for this.
You need to get another big lamp, because that is the perfect way.
Yeah, we even have a dimmer switch in the lounge, but they're
Ben-
always like, "Nah, I want it turned fully off."
Ben
Oh, that is
hounded
a bit
me.
weird then.
Yeah, I
Ben
hate it.
hounded me for weeks, coming round being like, "Why do you not have a lamp?"
It's
And
horrible. It's
I-
horrible with a big light on.
I finally went out and bought one, and
God.
I still prefer just to sit in light. I like to be able to see.
It's too bright though, especially when it's late at night and you can't fully relax with all the lights on. I don't get it. I've seen other people who have like the modern houses where they're not even like a yellow bulb. It's bright white bulb, almost like a UV light, bright light in a modern like like a sharp like a steak on a flat. Do you know what I mean? Like
I think so, yeah.
I was like, how can you sit there on a
Yeah.
stiff grey sofa with wooden floors with the big UV light on and sit there relaxed? I was
Yeah.
makes my skin crawl walking past some people's houses sometimes. It actually makes my skin crawl. Like I remember returning to work at like 3 in the morning and you see the big light on in people's flats. I was like, what are you doing, man?
That's me. My big light doesn't go off until I'm going to sleep.
That's mental.
I was on my way to my sister's house the other day and walked past the house, looked into one of the windows, and there's just a guy sat on his sofa watching the TV with no expression on his face, and it was the brightest light you can imagine, just lighting up the entire room, just completely flat light, just sat there like that.
see,
And that's his relaxation time. And I had like a glimpse into it.
Now, I
It's
know
like,
you said the
no.
other day, Dan, but clearly you misspoke and you meant 2 years ago when you were allowed to go to your sister's house. Obviously, that's what you meant.
Yeah, I didn't. I've not.
I-
But when I went to my sister's house, but I stood outside and shouted from
Yeah,
2 meters
2 meters, yeah.
away.
see, I'm somewhere between you
And then I
guys.
immediately ran home, screaming.
I'm somewhere between you guys. Like
Now that I believe.
when I'm like sat playing
have a
games or probably watching like a TV show that I'm not super invested in, or that doesn't require a lot of attention, I'll sit with the big light on. When I'm watching a film or like watching a TV show that I want to like relax, sit and get into with no distractions, I'll turn the big light off and just have a lamp on. I can't game in the darkness because it just hurts my eyes.
I can imagine I would only sit in the dark with the TV on if we were like, well, even then I keep the lamp on when we watch it. If we were watching a film, that would be when I would like consider like a cinema, lights off, maybe just the TV. But I think even when me and Dan have done it, the lamp's still on. Yeah, but if you're just watching Pointless,
I was gonna say when we're just watching Glee,
yeah, like you should have a dim on the dim on. I'd say
fully light on. Get the floodlights out.
No, because James, like you, you're missing out on the colour, because it washes out all the colour of the image if you've got the big light on. That's why cinemas are pitch black, because otherwise it's a very washed out image, and I think it's not as pronounced on a regular TV set. But it doesn't help.
I mean, I think the darkness is a better place, particularly in cinemas. But I would also argue the main reason it's with cinemas is because that's projection and not a screen. I don't know why I am like that, because if there's any light in the cinema, I hate it. But if I'm at home, I want the light on.
Yeah,
maybe not on, maybe dimmer. Yeah, maybe I'm just weird. We did get a little bit off topic then, but you know, I guess we're kind of done with Pixar. You know, we'll put a pin in that and might return to it in a. Pixar are done with Pixar at this point.
Wait, we were talking about Pixar?
Yeah, that was supposed to be the topic of this.
Did that happen today?
Yeah, that was 2 hours ago when we started this conversation.
But we'll bring it into the segment we normally kind of like to finish with. What do we recommend, boys?
I don't know if recommend is the. Maybe I would recommend it, Dan, because it's
it's worth watching.
It's definitely worth the watching for the conversation's sake. The latest season, the newest season of Inside Number 9 started this past Monday, and I loved the show. I was very, very excited, and I thought, Dan, please, will you sit with me and we'll watch it together? It'd be very interesting. It's like you don't know what it's about. You don't know they don't really market it that much. They release a 30-second teaser. You don't know anything, and you just watch it near blind. I still yet to read upon reviews about it. I think it got critically received. We were very puzzled coming out of that, weren't we, Dan? Whether that was good or not. I can't decide if that was like arguably the worst episode of the whole show so far. I don't know yet.
It was really strange, but not in a good way. It was basically, I think the whole way through I was thinking there'd be some sort of twist that made it make sense or made it clever or something, and it just wasn't really. What it was, I'm looking up actually, in there's a term for what they were going for. It's like an old style of Italian theatre.
And the style is quite, they wear masks, and it's quite broad humour, almost quite farcical. It's this, and the plot is they're going to do a heist, a diamond heist, and they're all wearing masks and stuff. But sometimes in the episode, one character talks to the audience, and they said flea bagging or Mirandaing, and sometimes they would just completely like break the fourth wall in terms of like the two characters are talking about the heist, and then somebody goes, well, it's be fine because I've read 2 pages ahead, or we're in season 6 now. Usually, because they are clever writers, if they're going to do that, it'll have some sort of reason why they're breaking the fourth wall, why they're talking this way, and there was no payoff for it. I think because that's just the style of what they were.
Yeah,
I can't remember. It was an Italian word, but I can't remember what it was.
Yeah, I can't. I've not been able to find the actual title. It's largely relevant though, but basically it relies on like fourth wall breaking and sort of stock characters from theatre, like archetypes, and then they're put in these like surreal situations and they make daft jokes and like it's a farcical kind of thing. But it just was, I don't know, there was something really like that didn't work about it, I thought. I mean, I don't know what it was. Maybe it's just the general tone or something like that. It was
strange, but broad humour that just isn't funny. It just was not funny. Like, there's a bit where Johnson's in it from Peep Show, by the way, James, and he's like kind of the leader of the heist. There's just a bit where they lay out the plan, and he's drawing on a blackboard what the plan is. You'll move to the left, you'll move to the right, and he's drawing a cock and balls on the blackboard, and it's just like, come on.
Yeah, and then, that he's doing that because you can clearly see that he's drawing this on the blackboard, and he moves away, and it's almost like that's the reveal of the joke. And that's when the audience laughs. It's like, oh, look what he drew. Like, we've only just noticed it now that he's moved away, kind of thing.
Now it's completed.
And then that's a joke in this thing. And then there's other things where there's puns, and it has this really strange tone of like being comedic and put like really broad humor, but also there's scenes that are kind of really gory and dark, like you would expect from Inside Number 9. And there was one scene, Ben, like, I won't spoil it for people listening or watching, but there's one scene that kind of conforms to that kind of thing, and I just thought it was really like cliched, tacked on kind of thing that they just put on just to be a bit like Inside Number 9, just to kind of like adhere to what we expect of like the show. I just thought it was a bit lazy.
It was strange. It was very strange, and like talking like saying there's a twist. There's even a bit where the character looking at the camera even says, "Oh, the twist in this is going to be really good." That's kind of my biggest critique of the show in the later seasons. They've got a bit too much bogged down in doing a twist every episode, because then it's not a twist, because then every episode you're going to go, well, when's the twist? So I kind of hope they move away from that. Not every episode is like that, but having said all that, I'm glad they did it, because this show, every episode they try something new and they do something interesting and different with the structure, try this, try that, so I'm glad it exists. I personally I just don't think it works this time, but I'm still hopeful for next week.
I mean, from what I've seen of Inside Number, because I've watched like previous seasons of Inside Number 9, I watched quite a few in university on Netflix, and I would say that Inside Number 9, it has sort of like the same setup and aesthetic as Black Mirror, but is done 10 times better than Black Mirror has ever been done.
Infinitely better than Black Mirror. So much better.
There are some good episodes of Black Mirror there.
There's some good episodes of Black Mirror, but I just think that Inside Number 9, when I watched it, like Black Mirror, I'd watched like a season of Black Mirror, and out of all the episodes, I'd like maybe 1 or 2. Whereas Inside Number 9, there'd be like maybe 1 or 2 that I wasn't so keen on of the season.
It's because Black Mirror has unfortunately kind of put itself in a corner where it's every episode's about some sort of technology being evil and the negativities of technology. Inside Number 9 is anything set within the guise of the number 9, and not even that. They play around with the structure, and like there's one episode where characters only talking like in rhymes and in a sort of Shakespearean like sonnet. Like Black Mirror doesn't do that. Every episode's just a drama about the evils of technology, and it's like, well, if you watch 20 episodes of that, it's like, I get it. Technology's bad, and this famous guest star, really famous guest, and it's just like whatever. But Inside Number 9, proper, like, you know. I think a big part of it is because Reese and Steve, in some form or in every episode, they kind of anchor the show.
Sure.
And at least once a season, you get just an episode where it's just the two of them. And I guess in Black Mirror, every episode it's different. It's new people every time. So it's kind of hard to get some sort of connective tissue in every episode. But
that's like that's the sort of cleverness of Inside Number 9. Is that the only thing that ties them together is the number 9, right? So it's kind of like there's so much more scope to write something interesting, and most times they really knock it out of the park from what I've seen.
It's like one episode, James, set inside a sleeping train cart, number 9.
Yeah.
One episode's focused around a size 9 shoe, and every episode, I didn't tell Dan this annoyingly, every episode has a statue of a hare in every episode. And you have to find it in every episode.
Aww, cute.
A little metal hare.
That's cool.
The animal. Yeah.
Stranded
hare.
Shall I talk about what I watched and what I'd recommend? You know what, I think I will.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, super quick one.
Yeah, very quickly. No, I watched a BBC Three series this week over the course of about 2 days. Very, very, very easy to watch. Called Starstruck. Each episode 20 minutes, basically just about this 20-something woman. Yeah, she works in a cinema and she has other jobs as well. It's very much of the moment where the gig economy kind of deal, and she's trying to find some kind of meaning to her life, like everyone, I guess. And she ends up on a New Year's Eve party. She ends up sleeping with a famous actor without knowing he's a famous actor. And then basically the series is about kind of their relationship and their sort of the various mistakes and misunderstandings that they make over the course of their relationship and getting to know each other and stuff. I just put on the first episode thinking it's 20 minutes. I don't know what it is, but it's it's there. I'll stick it on. I'll see what it's about. And I ended up just really enjoying it. Really kind of. It's a very pleasant kind of watch. It's not. It's very much like, I think I explained it to Ben as a kind of a nice Fleabag. It's got that kind of feel about it, and a bit like Love Actually, but better. And most of the jokes are funny, and the performances are good.
I'll be honest. When you explained the plot, I was like, "So it's Notting Hill, but gender swapped."
Not Love Actually, yeah. I meant Notting Hill. Notting Hill. It is literally
Notting Hill is
very. It's very much like Notting Hill, but just a bit better. And it's filmed very nicely. I think it was done in collaboration with HBO, and it sort of. It shows it's got a filmic quality to it rather than a cheap sort of BBC looking feel, which is good. But yeah, give it a watch.
Yeah,
it's a nice little self-contained story.
You can get it done in 2 hours, 2.5 hours.
Get it done into literally. I think it's 6 episodes, 20 minutes each.
I started it yesterday, and I'm on the last episode.
Yeah,
because I just went to bed. So
the actress in it is called Rose. I think it's
Rose Matafeo from Taskmaster. From Ed Gamble's, the New Zealand or Australian lady from Taskmaster. She created it and writes it, and she stars
when you let comedians write shows, they're quite good.
Nah.
And she's really good in it. She's very charming, and all that. So give that a watch for anyone listening.
I'll put that on the list.
Yeah, I'll add it to my list.
The list that doesn't exist.
List.
I do actually have a list.
I was
going to say
I do actually have a physical
It's
list.
more for films and TV show, but I have an actual list on my phone.
Most people have a list down.
So shove it up your arse, Daniel.
Yeah.
I feel attacked right now.
Yeah. You should have a list though, because you forget things, don't you? You should keep a list.
Here we go again.
Dan's list is just where his keys are, to brush your teeth, what his address is, what his name is.
You got to buy coffee today, didn't you?
Yeah.
How
I bought bagels and peanut butter, but I forgot coffee.
How do you forget to buy coffee of all people?
I don't know. I still have some coffee, but it's the good. It's the strong stuff. It's the cafetiere stuff. So
the good
I don't always want that because it sends me a bit.
The stuff where you drink it and not sleep for 3 days.
Yeah, no, but as we know, coffee doesn't really affect me. As I take my glasses off and reveal just how aged I am, coffee doesn't really affect me. I can't feel my face these days.
I do miss that period.
Coffee doesn't really affect me.
I do miss the period where you stopped drinking it and you did get withdrawal symptoms from it, and you were you were ill and you kind of were shaking a bit because you hadn't got withdrawal from the coffee.
I don't know if it was definitely
like an actual drug addict.
It was absolutely.
Was it like that
coffee.
episode of Sunny where they stopped drinking?
Yes. Yeah. Dan will get.
I
we'll
do
get to
actually
that
feel currently, because I've not had much sleep because of work and everything.
Because we had 2 shifts.
That started at 10 a.m, James.
Oh,
That's
sorry.
significant.
And 11.
That's very significant.
I'm in at
And
11 tomorrow. At 10. Oh god.
I've not had much sleep. I currently feel artificially awake. When you just shouldn't be awake, but you propped up by chemicals. One of which is coffee. The others we won't mention, eh? Don't want to talk about that.
Anyway,
Take us home, James. Get us
should
out
we
of
close this off? Please, I'm so tired.
For the record, I don't do meth.
We're pretty certain that somebody complained about Dan on the Ladywell Facebook group today, aren't we, Dan?
What about?
Oh, what did they
What
say?
have you
It was
been
quite
out
funny,
this
man.
time?
Because Dan
Daniel?
was listening to his music quite loudly. Then someone posts on the group, can somebody in Block B please turn their music down? Like it's really loud or something.
Someone's been listening to Radiohead on full volume for the last 48 hours.
For months.
It wasn't Radiohead. It was explained. This is the post. Can whoever in Block B is playing loud music please turn it down, because right now it sounds like two heavy-set robots are shagging in my ear. So I thought that'll be me. But no, it wasn't that loud, was it? It was And So I Watch You From Afar. Their album, The Endless Shimmering. Check it out.
No.
What do you mean?
What do you mean? No.
It's good on.
But look, so we've mentioned some good Pixar films, some slightly less good Pixar films. We've given you some recommendations, but I think, guys, it's about time that we love you and leave you, isn't it?
Yes, that's.
It's been a hell of an episode.
But as always, thank you for watching. If you on YouTube, don't forget to give us a like and subscribe to the channel. We've got loads more videos that you can check out. If you're listening to us on Apple Music or Spotify, don't forget to subscribe to them. Give us a review and rate us 5 stars, because obviously we're a 5-star podcast, aren't we, boys?
Clearly, as evidenced by today's podcast.
Oh yeah.
Clearly.
But until next time, we'll see you later. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.